Okay, so the class is catering to three divisions. We have comprehension, grammar, and most important is the creative writing part. Now, in comprehension, we'll have different passages. Some are factual and story. Factual is normally easier because there's not much I can twist to a fact. But story can get a little confusing, wherein you'll have to probably understand a phrase or answer using just a part of the sentence or give your own opinion. So we work on these different areas when we are doing this comprehension. So, for example, if I show you a passage here. So as you see, whatever we do in the class, we discuss all the answers really well and we mark them this way. Now, when we're discussing the answers, it helps all of them participate in the answering. So it helps somebody to change the way they're thinking about a particular answer because there's active involvement. B, we always work on marking our answer, even if it is just one word. And then in the class itself, we all go about, okay, how do I frame this into the answer? Because you're doing this every class, you become habituated into framing it in the correct sentence structure form. So, for example, if we just deal with one or two answers to understand it better, it's written in what way was the life of the cat comfortable? Mention any two ways. So, over here, if you see A1 FR has been written. FR is used when we are framing an answer. So these are the points, written that she has a sleeping salon. There are feathery cushions, and the food is really good. And in the food also she is given carefully chosen meat. So these are the two things this person has combined and written the answer. So now when we work with framing, what they do is, because we are learning vocabulary in class, they try and apply that even in their writing. For example, to live a comfortable life also means to live in the lap of luxury. So this girl in her answer has written the cat resided in the lap of luxury as it had a sleeping salon with, now there it was given feathery cushions. She's added the word fleecy feathery cushions. That means she's added a word for soft and triple covers. There was given good food and choicest meat. So here she's written its food was scrumptious, never just bread or soup, but always carefully chosen meat. So you can see that there are areas where this child has enhanced the answer, picking up what we've learned in class. Now, certain places you might be doing like 5 or 6 synonyms. So it depends on each child what he or she would like to choose. It's not that there's one mugged manner in which we all are like just writing the same thing. It's not like that. Then when we go further, yeah, yeah, obviously. Yeah, yeah. Obviously. Okay. No, no, same thing. Even if it's new in the class, the thing is that we all do the things together. So it's not going to be like somebody just coming and sitting, you know. Similarly, you can see in certain places wherever she's underlined and written the words with her. Now, what we do is we orally discuss the answers. So, wherever they want to add something, we'll make these changes. But they have to then write the answers on their own. We are orally discussing so that you're aware. But after that, it's not necessary two kids would frame it in the same way. Your content can be same, but you can frame it in your own way. So that is something that we work on bringing out. So every comprehension we do, it's discussed in class, but it's written in their own way. So that even if they're making a mistake, they learn from it. If I'm going to directly dictate the answer, they're never going to land up learning. They'll always be dependent, and that's what we don't want them to do. Now, grammar is a really big chunk. A grammar, we do a lot of concepts, so you all will be way ahead of what you are doing in your school. Because look, from seventh becomes your last year, where whatever remaining new grammar topics are there, no, they are covered. 8th, 9th, 10th is the repeat. Same thing over and over again. There's nothing new added to that. What we do in the class is that by grade 7, we finish the entire grammar portion. That you need for 8th, 9th, 10th. Okay? There's no negative effect of knowing something more in that grammar. It is eventually going to come to you. It just differs whether it's going to be in your final or you know it in the first term. And there is a lot and lot of practice. See, in a grammar topic, if there is something, again, after the explanation is done, the child has to solve the worksheet on their own. I will help you, but you have to provide me an answer for that. Because leaving something blank is different. But if you make a mistake, you at least understand what is it that I did not do right and which I have to change. So sometimes there might be a time where you'll see that okay, she's not, maybe there are 10 sentences and the child has done 8. That's because the child is doing it on their own. I'm not going to prod you and just for the sake of no, your 10 has to be finished, finish it off in class. I'm not going to do that. Secondly, if you sometimes see that no, there are too many red marks in this particular topic, don't panic. They will be given work for that, but it's important for them to bring out what they are doing wrong, because it helps them to know what are they understanding wrong and then correct it. Because see, many new students, 6 7 becomes a little higher standard. There are a lot of topics which you start in grade 4 5 which are continued in parts. Sometimes what happens is that base is not very strong. When that base is not strong, the same thing which is continued and little bit extras added, you'll see they're making a mistake in that all the time. So that is all that we can catch right now, at least before they go to their 8th grade. So the grammar part is massive, it's vast. Also what happens is that every class they'll be given a grammar homework, that is for sure. The grammar homework will take them minimum 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes to do, because it's not going to be like this 100-page booklet or something like that. But they have to practice. And that also I tell them that suppose if there are, say, five sentences of different topics. Do 5 today, do 3 tomorrow, do 2. So that way, you're practicing, and you're hardly 2 sentences or 5 sentences a day is not going to kill you. It's not even going to overwhelm you. And this way, you'll maintain a regularity rather than finishing that in one chunk, never looking at it again, and then coming back the next week. Okay, now when we go with creative writing, now creative writing is very important in the class. Now, basically, how we function in creative writing is that children are taught different techniques. Technique one is where you're using vocabulary. Vocabulary is where you're learning a new word for a word you already know. Then you're also learning writing styles like similes. With, like, for example, it is hot, so they learn it is as hot as a furnace. Going further, now look, I can make this better by using a vocabulary in a simile. The same sentence, instead of saying it is as hot as a furnace, I can say it is as scorching as a furnace. So you're learning a vocabulary also, and you're making it into a simile also. You will be picking up these different creative writing elements, and this I will show them in the class. Now, at the end of it, how does it benefit the child? Is, for example, say this is a simple sentence, and there are 3 ways in which the child has interpreted this. Alice was happy as she won the race. One option is you only use your vocabulary, so Alice was exultant as she emerged victorious in the race. The second is where you use a simile and vocabulary. Alice was as jubilant as a bird in flight as she emerged victorious in the race. Third is you can represent it in an idiomatic format. Alice was over the moon as she grabbed the spotlight and emerged victorious in the race. What I mean to say is that at the end of the day, it depends on what the child wants to do, how their child wants to express. Now, how do we reach it? Okay, how is it that the kids come up to writing something like that? First of all, every creative writing, suppose we are doing a writing topic, we discuss it with the kid, but I make them write it. The reason I make them write it is because what they could not think of, or this is the way in which I introduce words and introduce writing styles. So once I make them write it, if you see, we make a dictionary which I show them how to make in class. So for example, if I just zoom out here, if we say wonder, collective noun, lambent, shiny, gearing up, getting ready, to hang up their boots, retire. So the reason we write it this way is because then we make a dictionary here, wherein the bracket word comes first, that's the easy word, the new word comes next to it. Yeah. So what will happen is the dictionary helps them to separate the words from the entire list of things. Now, based on these words, they are given a writing assignment which starts with only sentences first. So, for example, over here, this is like a small sentence. Whatever you can see is underlined. The kids replace it with the new words that they have picked up in the first writer. First, we do only sentences. Then we go to paragraphs. Then we go to stories, letters, this and that. Now, for example, If you've learned a new word for excited, which is ebullient, now that I can use it in a story, I can use it in a letter, I can use it in an autobiography, I can use it in any form of writing. So my point is that this practice of a sentence, then paragraphs, helps them to use it on their own. Now, also when this homework is given to them, suppose we've written one assignment, and based on one assignment, you're given these sentences. It's really important that whatever we write in the class, the child has to read it. See, we do not use these words in everyday life. So it's not going to come to you and you can't mug it. So what we recommend for kids from grade 1 to 10th, it's not only 7th in particular, that whatever you're doing in class, read it at least thrice in a week. With that, we also practice those words by speaking them in the class amongst each other. Once we do that, it slowly becomes a way of your life. So when we do one topic and you're given a writing assignment based on one topic, then you're given a paragraph based on one topic. Then we go into to move the second topic. You're given a writing assignment based on the second topic, but the paragraph will be based on the first and second topic. So when we are going ahead, it's always new, back new, new, back new. So this way what happens is you keep doing that over and over again and it becomes a part of your life. But without reading, this is not going to happen. You can't open your book one day before an exam or a test. This is not grammar. Grammar is like, okay, you got the rule, you'll get the answer. But creative writing is different for different children. So that reading part is really important. And if they develop that now, it becomes easier for them in the 8th, 9th, 10th, is because look, that's the time when you don't have time. English becomes a very neglected subject at that time because you're running from pillar to post with your other subjects. So this practice now, it really helps. Also, don't bother if a child is new or old. Sometimes a new child can even overtake an old child. It's all about how you're working with it. Say, for example, if for a word we're learning 5 words, in the first 2 weeks, from those five, you would just get comfortable with two, you know. Then in the next 2 weeks or even a month later, you get comfortable with the next three. It can even be done in part process. The point is that they pick up. The point should not be ki, you've done 10 things, so pure 10 ke 10 you have to know in one shot. So we can even work on developing that with time. But that is something which the kids will have to, of course I will tell them in the class, but that's something even the parents need to be aware of, that creative writing cannot be enhanced if the child is not going back to the reading bit again and again and again. So that is something that, because after this, as we do these different paragraphs, then we are moving to a story, then comes OMO. OMO means that they see, either I show them a video, which then I forward it to you, or I give them a plot, and they have to write it on their own by mixing and matching things that they've learned so far. So, for example, this was a 1 minute 50-second video about these two friends. They were at the beach. They found this bottle which had a map, and the map took them to a treasure. That's it. That was all that was there in the video. So now these two kids have written their own way the story in their own manner. She has introduced with a they both have used different weather. This child has described the looks of the children and then started the story, but this child has directly started the story. Like, the beaming golden orb danced across the colossal azure blue sky. Dulcet bird song hung in the air and was music to Sanjay and Sara's ears. She is chosen a sunny day. This one says the gargantuan lambent fireball rose climbing over the horizon towards the peak of the sky, attempting to illuminate gloomy Mother Nature. The sun sometimes enshrouded behind the plumose clouds and sometimes spreads warmth like a grid. This child used a cloudy starter. Now, of course, for a new person, they'll be like, what is this? But they get the hang of it. It becomes normal. And that time they become a little bit depressed. Exactly. Depressed. Actually, my daughter, well, soon get depressed. I don't know anything. Exactly. But this comes after 2 3 months. It doesn't, happen. So what happens is that then when that regular practice sets in, that's when they are able to. No, it's not necessary. Some other child might just use one line to describe it. It's fine. As long as you are showing me an input every week rather than only using that one thing in the entire year. That's what I'm trying to say. That It's not about comparison ki, you have to write like this person or you have to write like. Grow in your own way. Don't get comfortable, because then that's the only way you'll enjoy a language. Otherwise, writing anything is going to be a burdensome activity. Now, for example, if they've written about discovering a treasure chest, the same idea can come to you in a letter. That write a letter to your friend wherein you went, you had an adventurous day at the beach. I could use the same, not the entire same thing, but I could at least use the same plot over there as well. So creative writing, they are taught even how to mix and match your ideas, where you can use what. Comprehension and grammar is not a problem. They are very rule-oriented things. But for creative writing, if that reading bit doesn't come, no ma'am, then it is not going to be possible for me to help you out. Even if you come via an XYZ person's reference, it's because the kids are doing what I'm telling them. Are they able to see? Right now, of course, when you see somebody else's work, you'll be like, "ये क्या है?" But they worked to get to it. It was not, served on a platter. And everyone, the main thing about the class is you do in your best ability. We're not comparing you to, others. Every week you're given a writing assignment and the grammar sheet. The grammar sheet will not take them more than 10 minutes unless they're doing it last 5-10 minutes before coming to the class. The creative writing also, so suppose if your class is say on a Monday, example I'm giving you. Now Monday to next Monday you're giving me. So I even divide it for them. I'm like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you all read. Thursday sit to do your homework. Suppose while doing the homework, some word is not coming to your head or something, go back to reading. Don't copy from it. Because first few assignments, you might be like, oh, what is this? But then after that, it just becomes a habit. So you will get used to it instead of you being like, but if you don't practice this, it won't reflect on your work. In the class 10 months, we even have two exams. One happens before Diwali and one is in the month of March. Class functions June to March. In this exams is wherein we test how their concepts are going, and then we have an open day wherein I meet the parent and discuss with the parent what we can do, what we can change to, make the child better or have the child adapt to that as well. Also, what happens is that when these assessment exams are taking place, the entire revision is done in the class. There's nothing that you have to sit and do with the child. And if you're reading since day one, then that should not be a problem. It's a language. I can't get up in the morning and say, today I don't know how to speak English. So basically, we do the concepts in such a way that at any given point, if you're given this, you should be able to crack it. It should not be like, Are yaar, bhul gayi, how do I do it? Because it's just the way we speak ultimately. So that is what we cater in the class. Homeworks are important. If they miss out on one homework, then the next week they'll get, they'll be burdened. Then instead of doing it nicely, it'll be like, so much homework is there. So I don't want it to reach to that level. There's only one batch per age group. So in case you miss a batch, I can only give you the material and send you the video. If via video the child says not able to understand something, then the child can ask me in the next class. But don't involve other people at home to sit and help the child with the homework. Also, if the homework is based on a video, please give your phone only to see the video. They all use Google and will put any word they feel like. They are not supposed to use any such applications for their work, okay? Because there are kids who be like, no, teacher said to do it. The dictionary means the dictionary we make in the class, not the Oxford dictionary or the one that we have on the phone or Google. That is something that I don't encourage at all. So, and the